gave her the house. I mean, she just was about to sell the house to Drew. But yeah, she found the will at the end of the episode. But hey, y'all, welcome back to another review like Chesses for General Hospital, October 31st, 2025. First things first, let me know y'all thoughts on this episode down below. What y'all think? Did y'all like the episode? So I'm going to do a quick summary and then we're going to dive into the review. Okay, so Nina flipping on Portia already, but what she don't know is that Portia has an alibi. Tracy found Monica real will. Sylvia wants to work with Laura. Britt now in charge. Michael tried to convince Ronnie not to sell the house. Emma ready to put their plan in action. Lulu ends up telling her mom that her kids have been lying to her, so she afraid that she losing them. Sonny tells Michael that he making himself look guilty. And Lucy tried to convince Tracy to find another house or whatever. But yeah, she found the will at the end of the episode. I wanted to see more. But I'm shocked that they actually moving this along faster or whatever. I wonder who Monica actually left the house to. But okay, like I said, this for General Hospital, October 31st. Hold on. This for General Hospital, October 31st, 2025. What did y'all think of the episode? I still wish that, although I'm glad that Tracy found the will, I still wish that they had showed us who actually shot Drew. Because wasn't when he got shot, wasn't Portia laid up with Isaiah, if I'm not mistaken? But yeah, so at the beginning of the episode, the show, Martin, he was telling Laura that he's representing Drew again. He told her about Measure C and all this other stuff. And he was saying how he's trying to convince them not to, include her and everything. I said, no, I'll tell her everything that you've been up to. I said, tell her everything that you've been up to. But yeah, Drew tells Nina that he's going to tell the police that Michael shot him. She ends up telling him that's a bad idea because now you suddenly remember after all this time, now that Willow locked up or whatever, that's now you remember that it was Michael. And they was just talking about Willow. They was talking about Willow, and Nina wanted to work together and stuff like that to clear Willow's name and stuff. And Drew ended up telling her basically that he's in charge or whatever, that he has the advantage and she don't. Sonny ends up telling Michael that Alexis is Willow's new lawyer. Sylvia tells Dalton that he's being replaced by Britt. Emma tells Gio that she's ready to expose Dalton, but she don't know that Britt is now in charge. Then Dalton trying to flip on Sidwell. I said, you playing a dangerous game, buddy. I said, you playing a game, you gonna end up with what was her name? Judge Harrington, Judge something. I see, gonna end up just like her. But yeah, somebody said they think that Silva's gonna end up using Rocco to make Britt do whatever he wants. And I said, I thought it was gonna be that dude. What was his name? The dude that was at the Five Poppies or whatever. What was his name? I can't remember what is it. Pascal. I thought it was gonna be him because he's seen her looking at a photo of Rocco. But yeah, Lulu ends up telling Tracy that the boxes have to go. Ronnie end up. Hold on. Ronnie had called Brandon Joey and he turned around. And at first I was thinking, okay, is his real name Joey or something? But then I was reading the comments on the preview for Monday's episode and people were saying that he played Vicky's son on One Life to Live. So that's why they did that. I was like, what? I said, wait a minute. I said, what his name is? Because he looked around like he knew her. But they said it's because, they played mother and son on One Life to Live. But yeah, what else? He ends up saying that his name is Jack Brandon and stuff like that. That's when she ended up meeting Carly. Carly felt some type of way because, she's selling the house to Drew and Michael getting put out his home and everything. Lucy was showing Tracy properties and stuff like that, trying to convince her to get a new house. Okay, hold on. Sylvia tired of Dalton not producing results, so that's why he got Britt or whatever to be in charge and everything. They started going back and forth about who should be in charge of it, and he waited until Sylvia left to tell that he basically want to flip on him. But yeah, what else did they show? Sonny ends up telling Sonny ends up telling Michael, stop playing with that door. Okay, hold on, y'all. Go on. She'll be back knocking on the door in a minute, y'all. Did you watch? But yeah, Sonny tells Michael that Willow gonna look like the victim compared to him once Alexis puts her on the stand. I said, I hate that Sonny actually listening to Nina. I gotta say that part, because how you gonna sit up here? The girl got an alibi. Now Curtis and them gonna be at odds. Now they finna be at odds. But yeah, I'm assuming they set this up so that the whole Isaiah situation can come up. That's what I'm assuming, y'all. But yeah, He was like, Willow gonna look like the victim compared to him once they bring up her cancer, the fact that she was in a cult and everything. Lulu ends up telling Laura that her kids have been lying to her. So basically, Laura told her that she needs to make room for Valentine and Britt or whatever. Extend the invitation so that there is no room for secrets. And I said, she been trying to do that, but once all this Brit situation come out, oh no, you won't be seeing none of them. You won't be seeing it's gonna be a huge problem. Especially when they find out that Rocco finna be in danger, unless Brit ends up saving him. We'll see. But yeah, Carly tells Ronnie that the quartermain's not just gonna let her get away because she was saying how, she just wanna move on and stuff like that. Lucy trying to encourage Tracy to move forward and stuff. They were sharing stories about Alan. Lulu feels like her kids are slipping away, and that's when Laura was just encouraging her. Drew ends up telling Michael that it's all finna be his, and he was basically trying to get Michael to respond and stuff. And Sonny knew that, and Sonny was saying how he shot that Michael, held his cool and everything. Gio tries to convince Ronnie not to sell the house. I said everybody was basically trying to convince her not to sell the house, and she's giving away that something more is going on. It looked like she was about to tell Michael before Drew and them came in. It looked like she was about to tell him because she said something about his more going on or whatever. But yeah, Laura ends up urging Lulu to extend an invitation in regards to Valentine and Britt. So there's no room for secrets. We said that part already. Michael tells Ronnie that he'll pay more for the house than Drew or whatever. And he was like, if it was about money, then you would have jumped at the chance. So he thinks that more is going on. He tells Ronnie about Monica and that she would never allow this. Excuse me. How she would never allow this or whatever. Ronnie ends up telling Michael that she's in too far over her head, and when she's about to say more, Drew and Martin came in. Dalton ends up saying how he wants to leave Sitwell out of the whole situation and stuff like that. I said, Britt, don't listen to him. I said, don't you listen to him. He gonna get you murdered, girl. I said, he gonna get you murdered or Rocco grabbed or something. Brenda ends up telling Lulu that Valentine wants another visit with Charlotte. She was like, no. He was like, what if he was stateside and everything? So I want to see her reaction. Sidwell stopped by Laura's office, talking about something. He wanted to work with her to save Port Charles. How you gonna come against her then try to turn around? I said, well, how you gonna try to come against her and everything? Now you trying to be in her face, trying to join forces, talking about save Port Charles and stuff like. You the one in danger in Port Charles. I want to know what I really hope, and I've been saying this. I've been really hoping that this whole Sidwell storyline would lead to him doing a whole nother, like Jerry Jacks, when he held all of them in the Metro Court and stuff like that. He was holding them hostage and everything, or either the water situation, when the water was tainted. I think he was the same one messing with the water too. I said they need to bring Jerry Jacks back at this point. But yeah, that's what I've really been hoping in regards to Sidwell, or that he had people down there at Windermere in one of them, I about to say alleys. One of them, what's it called? One of them tunnels and stuff at Windermere. That's what I was hoping for. I think that would be epic if they finally reveal what he fully been working on and everything. But I feel like they ain't using him to his full advantage. How you gonna bring a psychopath on here, but he ain't did nothing psychotic yet, aside from, I think the last thing he did, no it wasn't, he murdered the judge, and he set fire to Charlie's or whatever. But other than that, what's the last thing he did? I think that was it. But yeah, I was like, they could really get this going with him. But yeah, what else? Nina ends up telling Sonny basically she know a way that basically they could point the finger to somebody aside from Willow and Michael or whatever. You may not know this or whatever, but Portia was being blackmailed by Drew, so she could have been the one to do it. And even if she didn't do it, that'll lead them away from Willow and Michael. I can't be the one to tell them what Portia did or whatever, because she my friend. But if she was really my friend, I would keep my mouth shut. But at the same time, Curtis flipped on her. Curtis flipped on her. Curtis told, then I was like, payback. But at the same time, don't sit up here and get Sonny involved in your mess. Now these folks gonna be at odds and stuff. Don't sit up here and try to get him to do your dirty work. Then gonna sit up here and say how that's my friend. Shoot, please, girl. And then I was like, the joke's on her, because she also has an alibi. Unless I'm mistaken, she has an alibi. I know they showed them together at the, I don't even know the place. What's the name of that bar that they was at? Then they said, no, they was gone. But if I'm not mistaken, wasn't she laid up with Isaiah? But yeah, I was like, don't try to get Sonny to do your dirty work. And he out here talking to Alexis on Monday's episode, talking about he got somebody else that she could point the finger to. Snitch. But it does go, if she didn't have no alibi, it would, they probably would arrest her. Hold on. If she didn't have an alibi, I think she would be arrested, because she did have motive. She had motive, and not only that, her daughter done snuck in with her boyfriend, her ex-boyfriend, and stole evidence the evidence is missing and everything. So, you know, that's a whole lot of motive. But she got an alibi. She has an alibi. I said at this point, they need to show us next week who did it. Because now I'm wondering who really did it. Because I don't know at this point. But yeah, I think the last thing was that Tracy was going through the box. So I said, go on over there. I said, go a little further. You closer. You getting warmer. And she finally got the box, but she was going through it. She seen Monica's wheel and everything. She seen the wheel and everything, and it went off. And I said, about time. I said, yes, finally. And she was like, I'm coming for you, Ronnie Bard, or whatever that lady name is. I skipped over the part where Ronnie was about to sign, and they gave her the pen to sign her name. I told y'all she'll be back. Y'all hear her? Do y'all hear her? What is it? I think she left. Told y'all she was going to be back. But that's it, y'all. Let me know y'all thoughts on this episode down below. Stay tuned for the next review. Until next time, deuces. Have a great rest of the day, a great weekend, and be safe.